David, come join us in the snow.
The scream didn't echo. That was the first thing that felt wrong. Snow swallowed sound out here. It pressed everything flat. Footsteps, breath, even fear. The forest stood frozen. Tall black trees stitched together by wind and shadow. Somewhere between them, a scream had cut through the night, and then vanished as if it had never existed. I stopped walking. The cold crept into my boots, numb and biting. My breath fogged the air in slow, shallow bursts. The snowmobile behind me was half buried now, its engine ticking softly as it cooled, like something dying slowly. "Hello," I called. The word fell uselessly into the snow. The trail ahead was gone, erased by snowfall so heavy it looked deliberate. The sky was low and gray, pressing down, making the forest feel closer, tighter. I checked my phone. No signal. The screen flickered, then dimmed, as if the cold itself wanted me blind. That's when I noticed the footprints. They weren't mine. Bare feet. Small. Human. They crossed the trail and disappeared into the trees. I stared at them, my chest tightening. No blood. No torn skin. Just pale impressions in the snow, leading somewhere dark. A whisper drifted between the trunks. Not a voice. A breath. "Don't follow." Behind me, the snowmobile clicked once, and went silent. I turned, and something was standing where it hadn't been before. Winter didn't arrive in Black Hollow. It closed in. The road narrowed the deeper I drove, trees bending inward as if listening. Snow fell thick and steady, not drifting, not swirling, just descending straight down, silent and heavy. My headlights cut weak tunnels through the white, and whatever lay beyond them felt patient. Waiting. The radio lost signal miles back. Static hissed like breathing. I turned it off. That's when I noticed how quiet everything was. No birds. No wind through branches. Even the engine sounded muted, swallowed by snow. The kind of silence that makes you aware of your own heartbeat. Loud, clumsy, exposed. Black Hollow appeared suddenly, without warning. One moment. Forest. The next, buildings hunched under ice, their shapes softened, blurred, as if they were trying to disappear into the landscape. Snow-buried street signs up to their necks. Windows stared back dark and empty. It looked abandoned. But it wasn't. I stopped at the only place with lights, a gas station at the edge of town. The bell over the door jingled weakly as I stepped inside. Heat rushed at me, thick and stale. The smell of old coffee and fuel clung to the air. The man behind the counter didn't look up right away. "You're late," he said. "I didn't know there was a time," I replied. He finally raised his eyes. They lingered on my face too long, as if measuring how much of me would be left by spring. "People who come here always are." I forced a small smile. "I'm here for the ranger station." His jaw tightened. He reached under the counter, slid a key across to me. It scraped loudly in the silence. "You staying the whole winter?" "Yes." That did it. His hand froze mid-motion. For a moment, the heater's rattling was the only sound. "Winter takes people," he said quietly. The words landed wrong, not like a warning, more like a fact already proven. "I'll be careful," I said. He shook his head once. "Slow. You won't be." Outside again, the cold felt sharper, more personal. I drove on before I could think too hard about his words. The ranger station sat deep in the forest, where the trees grew thicker and the snow lay untouched. The building was old, wood warped, paint flaking, porch sagging slightly under the weight of ice. It didn't look abandoned. It looked forgotten. Inside, the air smelled of dust and cold metal. My boots echoed too loudly as I walked through the narrow halls. A single bulb flickered above, casting long shadows that didn't always match my movements. I unpacked quickly. The silence pressed in again, thicker now, broken only by the low groan of pipes adjusting to heat. Night came fast. The forest outside vanished into blackness, the snow reflecting just enough moonlight to make the trees look skeletal. I sat at the desk, flipping through old ranger logs, most of them routine, weather reports, wildlife sightings, maintenance notes. Until the gaps. Whole weeks missing. Names crossed out. Notes that ended mid-sentence. At 2:17 a.m., something woke me. Not a sound. The absence of one. I lay still, listening. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Careful. Crunching softly in the snow outside the station. My breath caught. The footsteps stopped beneath my window. A pause. Then a knock. Not loud. Not desperate. Polite. I didn't move. Another knock. Hello? A voice whispered. It was thin. Young. A child. Please, the voice said. I'm cold. Every instinct screamed at me to stay still. To be quiet. To pretend I wasn't there. The handle rattled once. I pulled the blanket up to my chin, heart pounding so hard it felt like it might give me away. Open the door, the voice said softly. Silence followed. Minutes passed. Maybe hours. Eventually, exhaustion dragged me under. Morning light crept in gray and weak. For a moment, I convinced myself it had been a dream. Then I opened the door. Footprints marked the snow outside. Bare feet. Small. They led away from the station, straight into the trees. I followed them a few steps before stopping. The tracks ended abruptly. No scuffling. No signs of turning back. Just empty snow, as if the child had been lifted straight up and erased. Behind me, from somewhere deep in the forest, something whispered my name. And this time it sounded close. After that morning, I stopped trusting silence. It followed me everywhere. Thick, watchful, stretching too long between sounds. Even when the wind moved through the trees, it felt rehearsed, like the forest was pretending to be normal. I didn't follow the footprints far. Something in me understood that doing so would mean agreeing to something I couldn't undo. Still, I couldn't forget them. Bare feet didn't belong out here. Not in this cold. Not at night. The rational part of my mind worked hard to fill the gap. Prank, hallucination, exhaustion. But every explanation collapsed under one simple truth. Someone had knocked on my door. And vanished. I spent the day combing through the ranger station. Old filing cabinets stuck shut with rust. Shelves bowed under decades of neglect. In a back office, behind a stack of collapsed boxes, I found a drawer that wouldn't open all the way. Something inside blocked it. I forced it. A bundle of notebooks slid forward and hit the floor. Ranger logs. Not the official ones. Personal. The handwriting changed from book to book. Different people, same fear. January 4th. Heard voices again last night. Thought it was the wind. It wasn't. January 11th. Child's footprints near the station. Bare. No body. January 19th. Town says not to look. Says winter needs them. That line appeared more than once. Winter needs them. I shut the notebook and sat there, listening to the building creak around me. Pipes knocked softly, like someone tapping from inside the walls. That afternoon, I went into town. People watched me differently now. Heads turned. Conversations died the moment I passed. A woman pulled her child closer as I walked by, whispering something I couldn't hear. At the general store, an old man sat near the heater, hands extended toward the warmth like he was afraid it might leave. "You're the new ranger," he said without looking at me. "Yes." He nodded slowly. "You heard them yet?" I hesitated. "Heard who?" His mouth twitched. Not quite a smile. "The lost ones." I swallowed. "What do you know about the disappearances?" He finally looked up. His eyes were cloudy, unfocused, as if part of him was always somewhere else. "They aren't disappearances," he said. "They're returns." That night, the radio turned on by itself. I was in bed, staring at the ceiling, counting cracks in the plaster when the static snapped to life. I sat up slowly. "Hello?" A voice crackled through. Weak. Distant. A child's voice. "Can anyone hear me?" My hands shook as I reached for the radio. "Yes. I can hear you." Static surged. "It's dark," the voice whispered. "They said you would help." "Where are you?" I asked. A pause. "In the snow." The radio clicked off. I unplugged it. The whisper continued. Behind me. I spun around. Nothing. But the room felt smaller, colder. The corners stretched strangely, shadows pooling where they shouldn't. From outside, a laugh drifted through the trees. Soft, broken, almost playful. Sleep didn't come after that. Days blurred together. Snowfall thickened, erasing tracks almost as soon as they appeared. I started finding things out of place. My boots moved, the chair angled slightly wrong, the door unlatched when I knew I'd locked it. Once, I found a small glove on the steps outside. Frozen solid. Too small to belong to any adult in town. I took it with me to the old woman on the edge of Black Hollow, the one everyone avoided. She didn't invite me inside. "You shouldn't have that," she said when she saw the glove. "I need answers." She studied my face, then glanced toward the forest. "Answers are dangerous in winter." "Tell me anyway." She sighed, long and tired, and stepped aside. Inside, the house smelled of wood smoke and old paper. Photographs lined the walls. Families standing stiffly in the snow, their expressions strained, incomplete. In many of them, children were missing. "Long ago," she began, "this town made a choice." She told me about the blizzard, the worst winter Black Hollow had ever known. Roads buried. Supplies gone. People trapped. When the food ran out, the voices came, she said. Soft at first. Kind. Voices. I asked. They promised warmth. Safety. Said the forest would take care of the children. My stomach twisted. And people believed that? She looked at me sharply. People believe anything when winter is starving them. The children were sent out. One by one. None came back. But winter remembered. Now, she continued, every year when the snow is deep enough, the lost ones find their way home. I shook my head. That doesn't make sense. She leaned close. It doesn't need to. That night, I dreamed of hands pulling me through snow, gentle, patient. I woke to pressure on my chest. Small hands. Cold. I screamed and the weight vanished. In the morning, frost coated the inside of my windows. Thick, deliberate patterns that looked almost like writing. I stopped sleeping altogether. Paranoia set in like a fever. I questioned every sound, every shadow. I spoke aloud just to prove my voice still existed. One evening, while reviewing maps of the forest, I noticed something wrong. Paths that led nowhere. Trails marked and then crossed out. An area circled in red ink, labeled simply, "Do not search." Against my better judgment, I went anyway. The forest grew denser there. Snow deeper. Sound vanished completely. I found old markers half buried. Broken toys frozen into the ground. Scraps of fabric caught in branches. Then I heard them. Whispers. Dozens. All speaking softly at once. "Stay. Don't leave. You're cold." Figures moved between the trees. Small shapes darting just out of sight. A voice spoke close to my ear. "You promised." "I didn't," I whispered. The forest fell silent. Then every voice spoke together. "You will." I ran. Back at the station, the door was open. Inside, muddy footprints crossed the floor. Bare feet. Leading into my bedroom. And stopping beside my bed. As the lights flickered, I realized the truth settling in my bones. Winter wasn't calling them back. It was collecting replacements. And it had chosen me. The storm hit without warning. One moment, the forest had been silent, distant. The next, white shattered every horizon. Trees bent under the weight of ice and snow. Branches clawed at each other as if the forest itself were alive. The ranger station groaned, its windows rattling violently. And I knew, somewhere in the snow outside, they were waiting. I tried to barricade the door, piling chairs, boxes, anything heavy against it. My hands shook so hard I cut my palm on the desk's metal edge. Blood mixed with frost on the wood. I didn't care. Then came the whispers. Not one voice. Hundreds. Thousands. overlapping, layering on top of each other. Come outside. Come, stay, don't leave. I screamed for them to stop. The wind answered instead, pressing my voice back into my lungs. Footsteps circled the station. Bare, small, deliberate. The door shuddered. A knock. Soft, polite, familiar. I froze, my breath visible in sharp clouds, trembling. My mind wanted to deny it, wanted to rationalize. But I'd learned, when the snow called, it did not lie. They're back, I whispered to no one, or maybe to myself. The first appeared in the doorway. A child, or what resembled one. Frost-covered hair plastered to its face, eyes black, deep hollows reflecting everything I feared. Its mouth opened too wide, too slow. You left us, it said. I didn't. I shouted, staggering backward. More figures appeared, stepping from the shadows. Bare feet leaving no trace in the snow that now spilled into the room. Their movements were unnerving, graceful, almost floating. Yet their gaze was alive, aware, patient. You will, they whispered together. The walls bent. The station was no longer a building. The floor stretched, groaned, and shifted under me. Time warped. Seconds stretched into unbearable minutes. The clock ticked backward, forward, skipped. I could see my own reflection in the glass of a window, or what looked like me, twisted, pale, screaming silently. I tried to run. The hallway elongated. The lights flickered, then died. The ceiling sank, low, oppressive. I felt hands brush my shoulder. Icy, insistent, pulling. I turned, only to see a dozen small figures pressed against me. Their faces impossibly close. Warm, they whispered. Stay. My mind fractured. Images collided. The old ranger logs, the missing children, the whispers in the forest. I saw the glove I had found. Frost patterns like letters spelling my name. The old woman's eyes. The radio's voice, calling me into the snow. I screamed. The door opened by itself. Not violently, but with a gentle, deliberate force. Snow poured in, drifts taller than my knees, filling every corner. Cold bit my skin, sank into my bones. The children moved through it effortlessly, their small feet leaving no mark. Help me, a voice begged. One child, closer, their face visible now. Pale, perfect. Wrong. Their eyes glimmered with something unhuman. A memory, a hunger, a void. I fell backward. Hands lifted me. Not rough. Gentle. Loving. Cold. I tried to resist, but my limbs no longer belonged to me. The forest pressed inward, the station dissolved. The snow became a tunnel leading somewhere I didn't want to go. I heard voices from outside now. Hundreds, chanting, whispering, laughing. You will join us. No. I screamed. But the word dissolved in the wind. It carried away my voice, my power, my will. I felt myself lifted, not dragged, not taken. Pulled by unseen strings. I glimpsed the trees bending over me like they were alive, rooting into my mind, folding my thoughts into theirs. The children spoke together now, harmonized, a chorus of inevitability. Winter doesn't forgive. Winter doesn't forget. Winter keeps what is owed. A flash of light, or perhaps it was memory, hit me. Families huddled in the original blizzard. Children stepping into the snow, eyes wide with trust. Adults screaming, unable to save them. The cold swallowing the screams. The snow remembering each one. Waiting. I tried to focus on something human. My name. My home. My life. But the snow pressed tighter. A living force that would not relent. Every corner of the forest, every shadow, every sound had been waiting for me. And I understood too late. It didn't matter that I ran. Winter doesn't need me. Winter owns me. I lost my balance, falling into a drift of snow that seemed endless. Bare feet pressed against mine. Tiny hands touched my face, brushed my hair. Gentle, loving, deadly. I felt warmth where there was none. Peace that was not peace. A lullaby sung in a language I had never known. The last thing I saw before everything went white. A child, taller than the rest, stepped forward. Its mouth stretched impossibly wide. Its black eyes pierced through me. "You are ours now," it whispered. I tried to scream one final time. The snow swallowed it. The station vanished. The forest vanished. I vanished. Spring came late. The snow retreated reluctantly, melting in uneven patches. Black Hollow looked smaller somehow, less threatening in daylight, but the town's silence had changed. It was not the quiet of snow pressing on everything. It was the quiet of waiting. Patient, insistent, aware. The ranger station was empty. No body. No signs of struggle. Just a desk, papers scattered, a few personal items left behind as if abandoned in haste. The door hung slightly ajar, swinging in the wind, creaking on broken hinges. The townspeople pretended not to notice. Some said they didn't know where I had gone. Others avoided the subject altogether, muttering under their breath about winter taking what it wanted. The old woman who had warned me never appeared again. The glove I had brought back to her was gone. I hadn't moved it. I didn't touch it. And yet, it had vanished as though reclaimed by the frost. I wandered the station once more, trying to reconstruct what had happened. The logs, the radio, the footprints, they no longer made sense. Time had fractured in that snowstorm. I could recall moments in fragments. Hands lifting me, children whispering, walls bending, floor stretching, the forest pressing in. And yet, I remembered the final words. "You are ours now." I tried to shake them from my mind. But winter has a memory that does not fade. Outside, the forest was quiet. Too quiet. A crow landed on a snow-dampened branch and stared at me, unblinking. I felt the weight of its gaze in my chest, unnatural, accusatory. The air smelled faintly of ice and something older. Old pine, old blood, old promises kept. I didn't speak to anyone for days. My voice had been weakened by the storm, or perhaps by what had touched me. I avoided leaving the station, avoided the streets, avoided even looking at the trees. But every night, from some unseen part of the forest, a whisper drifted. "Cold, please, come back." No one else heard it. I tried to tell them. They either didn't listen or didn't want to. The first sign came in a photograph left on the station's desk, a Polaroid, somehow developed untouched, showing the clearing behind the building. And in the snow, tiny footprints led into the forest. Bare, small, and impossible. Then I saw them in reflections. Not fully. A flicker of movement behind a window. A shadow where it should not have been. In mirrors, for a second too long, I thought I saw a child's face staring at me from behind my own. I began sleeping in short bursts. Even then, dreams came, not of snow but of warmth. Hands pulling, whispers softening, inviting. And each time I awoke I felt colder, lighter, as if the snow had begun to seep into me, slowly, imperceptibly. Letters from home went unanswered. Friends asked about the winter, the job, my plans. I told them I was fine. They believed me. Or they didn't ask further. Perhaps some part of the world already knew that Black Hollow keeps its own. By mid-March, the snow had mostly melted. The forest looked ordinary again, black branches reaching toward gray skies. I walked its edges cautiously. The footprints were gone. The air was still. The whispers had faded. Or maybe I had stopped noticing them. One evening, a child's laughter carried on the wind. High, musical, unnatural. I froze. The sound was behind me, then ahead, then all around. My breath caught in my chest. I spun in circles, but the trees were empty. Only the snow, wet from melting, reflected the pale moonlight. And then I heard a single voice, clear, calm, deliberate. "Don't follow." I did not. I never followed. But I couldn't leave either. Something anchored me here, an invisible tether to the snow, to the station, to the forest that remembered every child it had ever claimed. Days passed. Weeks. Months. Time became a blur. The town carried on around me, oblivious. People left. People arrived. Winter came again. And when it did, the snow was deeper than ever. I found footprints at my door. Bare. Small. Leading into the forest. leading somewhere I could not resist. I did not move toward them, but every night from the dark tree lane, I felt them watching, waiting. The final whisper came one evening, soft, impossibly close. "Cold. Please, it's so cold." And I realized with absolute certainty that Black Hollow would never release me. That winter did not kill. It did not need to. It waited. It collected. And one day it would come again. When the snow fell thick, it would come for someone else. And I would be there to watch.